videos without YouTube advertisements on my Patreon. If you have anything you want to learn about with me, feel free to leave it in a comment below. I'd love to hear what you're interested in. Okay, the Glozel artifacts. The Glozel artifacts are a collection of over 3,000 artifacts, including forged clay tablets, sculptures, and vases, some of which were inscribed, discovered from 1924 to 1930 in the vicinity of French hamlet of Glozel. Promoted by their discoverers as proof of an advanced prehistoric civilization, the finds initiated a series of claims and counter-claims. The objects were all initially dismissed as a hoax by professional archaeologists. Later research confirmed that some of the items date back to the Iron Age, but it was not before a 1995 study ordered by the French Ministry for Culture that the prehistoric civilization thesis was rebutted, and the vast majority of the finds dated to the Middle Ages, with significant presence of alterations and forgeries. Now, let's learn about its discovery and their excavation. The initial discovery Vichy physician and amateur archaeologist, Morlet visited the farm on the 26th of April, offering 200 francs to be allowed to complete the excavation. Morlet began his excavations on the 24th of May, 1925, discovering tablets, idols, bone and flint tools, and engraved stones. Morlet identified the site as Neolithic in a report entitled Nouvelle Station Neolithic, published in September of 1925, with Emile Fradin listed as co-author. Two other tombs were uncovered in 1927. More excavations were performed in April 1928. After 1941, a new law outlawed private excavations, and the site remained untouched until the Ministry of Culture reopened excavations in 1983. The full report was never published, but a 13-page summary appeared in 1995. The authors suggest that the site is medieval, roughly AD 500 to 1500, possibly containing some earlier Iron Age objects, but was likely enriched by forgeries. A group of scholars organized by René Germain held an annual colloquium about Glozel in Vichy from 1996 to 2009. What is a colloquium? Let's have a little look. Okay, a colloquium is an academic meeting or seminar usually led by a different lecturer and on a different topic at each meeting. Okay, so they had a new meeting every year from 96 to 2009 about Glozel. Cool. Now to the Glozel affair and the controversy. French archaeological academia was dismissive of Morlet's 1925 report, published by an amateur and a peasant boy. Morlet invited a number of archaeologists to visit the site during 1926, including Salomon Reinach, curator of the National Museum of Saint-Germain-en-Laye, who spent 3 days excavating. Reinach confirmed the authenticity of the site in a communication to the Académie des Inscriptions at Belle-Lettre. Similarly, famous archaeologist Abe Bruel excavated with Morlet and was impressed with the site, but on the 2nd of October, Bruel wrote that everything is false except the stoneware pottery. At the meeting of the International Institute of Anthropology in Amsterdam, held in September of 1927, finding various artifacts, but in their report of December 27, the Commission declared everything at Glozel, with the exception of a few pieces of flint axes and stone, were fake. If that is true, I do wonder who was responsible for faking it. René Desardes, curator at the Louvre and famous epigrapher, also accused Emile Fradin of forgery on the 8th of January 1928. Felix Reginault, the president of the French Prehistoric Society, visited Glozel on the 24th of February 1928. After briefly visiting the site's small museum, he filed a complaint of fraud. On the 25th of February, the police, under direction of Reginald, searched the museum, destroyed glass display cases, and confiscated 3 cases of artifacts. On the 28th of February, the suit against Desardes was postponed due to Reginald's pending indictment against Fradin. A new group of neutral archaeologists, called the Committee of Studies, was appointed by scholars who were uncomfortable with the ongoing controversy. They concluded that the whole of Glozel was a fake. Excavating from the 12th to the 14th of April 1928, they found more artifacts, and in their report asserted the authenticity of the site, which they identified as Neolithic. Gaston Edmond Bale, chief of the Criminal Record Office in Paris, analyzed the confiscated artifacts. Bale's report identified the artifacts as recent forgeries, and on the 4th of June 1929, Emile Fradin was indicted for fraud on the basis of Bale's report. The verdict against Fradin was reverted by an appeal court in April of 31. The defamation charge against Desardes came to trial in March 32, and Desardes was found guilty of defamation. This case keeps going back and forth. Now I actually have no idea if the site was authentic or not. Well, probably most importantly, this next section is called Dating the Artifacts. Glass found at Glozel was dated spectrographically in the 1920s and again in the 90s at the Slowpoke reactor at the University of Toronto by neutron activation analysis. What the heck is that? Both analyses place the glass fragments in the medieval period. Alice and Sam Gerard, together with Robert Liris in 95, managed to have 2 bone tubes found in Doom 2 C14 dated at the AMS C14 laboratory at the University of Arizona, finding a 13th century date. Okay, that's pretty old. Thermoluminescence dating. What is that? Of Glozel pottery in 74 confirmed that the pottery was not produced recently. By 79, 39 TB TL dates on 27 artifacts, separated the artifacts into 3 groups. The first between 300 BC and 300 AD, Celtic and Roman Gaul. The second medieval, centered on the 13th century, and the third was recent. TL datings of 83 performed in Oxford range from the 4th century to the medieval period. So it sounds like this site is legitimate. Carbon 14 dating of bone fragments range from the 13th to the 20th century. That's pretty close to now. 3 C14 analyses performed in Oxford in 1984 dated a piece of charcoal to the 11th to 13th century, and a fragment of an ivory ring to the 15th century. A human femur was dated to the 5th century. Now, importantly, at the site there were some tablets with inscriptions found, so let's quickly learn about those. The Glozel tablets. Some 100 ceramic tablets bearing inscriptions are among the artifacts found at Glozel. The inscriptions are, on average, 6 or 7 lines, mostly on a single side, although some specimens are inscribed on both faces. The symbols are reminiscent of the Phoenician alphabet, but they have not been conclusively deciphered. That's interesting. There were numerous claims of decipherment, including identification of the language of the inscriptions as Basque, Chaldean, Edo-Cretan, Hebrew, Iberian, Latin, Berber, Ligurian, Phoenician, and Turkic. Yeah, I don't know what the likelihood of all of those being in the same place is, but I really wonder what this place was, historically speaking, to have so much different stuff in one location. I'll show you the little, let me see if I can see it. Oh, it might not adjust. Oh, there we go. That is a little illustration or drawing of the tablets. I hope you found this interesting. There's a little bit of drama there in the middle, and this makes me consider, I wonder how many sites like this that are disputed in the world there are, and how many we've yet to uncover. I don't know. Well, thank you so much for watching. I hope that you can join me in another video very soon.